So, I meant to do a video on materials for this weekend, but I've had vehicle problems, which means I wasn't able to go into the forge yesterday. So I'm going to do something else. One of the things I see cropping up a lot is people wondering how much to charge for their work. So I'm going to cover that, cover how I price things. So I'm going to show you how I work out my hourly rate. I'm not going to use the actual figures from my hourly rate because I'm keen to keep that slightly secret. So, to figure that out, you need to start by figuring out your overheads, and that is non-attributable. And non-attributables are basically your workshop costs that you can't actually pass on to a specific customer. I'm going to do daily, weekly, monthly and yearly. And these are all costs. So we'll start off with forge costs. So the first one will be your lease. So let's say £1,500 a year. I'm doing this in pounds sterling, not dollars. Let's say utilities, which is water, electricity, internet if you're that lucky. Let's say about £1,200 a year. Fuel for the forge. I know that I spend £60 a week on coke. So we do that times 52. I know I'm not going to be working 52 weeks of the year, but it's the easiest way to do this. Propane, I do get through propane. Probably about £60 a month on propane, so I do that times 12. Oxygen from the oxypropane set. So I don't actually have a gas forge running at the moment, but I use an oxypropane gas setup. I'll try not to because it's expensive, but anyway. It comes out times 12 months. Consumables. Grind discs. You need to kind of go through what you do use in the forge. Grind discs occasionally attribute to one specific customer if I'm getting through quite a lot of them. Let's say £200 a year. Welding rods, say £120 a year on welding rods. Oil for the power hammer, and I use it as a cutting coolant as well. About £60 a year on oil. Abrasives, say about £100 a year. I mean, you'll have to figure out for yourself what all these costs are for you. This is vaguely based on what I consume. Drill bits, everybody forgets about those. Say £90 a year on drill bits. It does sound like quite a lot, but I do use some of the like sharp drill bits. So let's leave that at that for the actual forge costs. Vehicle costs. So even if these aren't all attributable to business, I like to cover those anyway. So let's say tax, £220 a year, probably a bit more at the moment. MOT, don't know if you have those in America for the Yanks who are watching. No, the MOT doesn't cost £500, but you always have repairs that you need doing. Well, I do with my truck. insurance, about £500 a year. Admin fees for the business. So business insurance is a very good idea in case you have your tools nicked or your stock nicked or anything, or something goes wrong and something that you've made actually hurts somebody. Quite a good idea to have. So that's gone up to about £500 in marketing. So that can be on Etsy. Let's put Etsy marketing. So Etsy costs me probably around about, shot in the dark, probably about £300 a year in fees and various bits and pieces, as well as marketing. Facebook marketing, I'm in two minds as to whether that works at all. Let's say about £100 a year. Printed media, which is business cards, flyers, leaflets to give out. I'd probably spend about £400 a year on that, and that does have results. Shows, so stall fees and all that, that probably works out to about £500 a year. So the next thing I want to touch on is drawings. Drawings are money you pull out of business, basically your salary. So you could say, I'm going to work for the minimum wage and go £12,000 a year, which is not very much considering the amount of time and effort you're having to put into your business. So you could go slightly more and say £18,000 a year. But to be honest, the amount of effort that you're putting into running a business as self-employed or whatever, that really doesn't cover it. You're a business manager, you're going to have to retire probably earlier because your shoulders and your elbow are going to give up, and so is your back. Well, even if it doesn't make you give up before retirement age, it's probably going to slow you down quite a lot. So why not? Let's just say you want to earn £25,000 a year, which I think is fair enough for someone who's running a business, who's manager, marketer, probably accountant if you're skilled like me. You can also charge for membership fees. You might be part of the Federation of Small Businesses. I'm not, but I will be at some point. You might be a member of Bar. Again, I'm not. I am a member of Historical Metallurgy Society. Which costs me £70 a year, so I'm going to include that in the hourly rate. And that's basically going to sum up the total. Right? So we add all this up, and that comes to just over £40,000 a year non-attributable expenses, which is, it's a lot, it does add up. When you're first setting up, that is slightly scary to look at. Now, a lot of these are estimates. Your consumables, it might be more, it might be a lot less. At the end of the day, your salary of £25,000 a year, if you don't earn the 40 grand, it ends up coming out of your wages and you end up earning something stupid like £7,000 or £8,000 a year, because the rest of it is going to cover your costs. Probably have to have made that big, you'll be able to see it a lot better. Like I say, the 40 grand will be spread out over a year, so 365 days in a year. So in theory, you're going to divide that by 365. However, you're also going to have holidays. So say you want 4 weeks of holiday. That's 28 days. You might also be sick, not out of choice, but you should prepare for it. So you're going to have 10 sick days. Total days, total. Equals this minus this minus this. So you're probably going to end up working about 327 days a year. How many hours are you going to work in a day? Let's say 8 hours. So total hours equals total days times total hours. 2,616 hours. But not all of those hours are going to be spent actually working, because if you're traditional, you're going to have to light the fire, you're going to have people wandering in, wanting to talk to you, things are going to go wrong and you're going to have to start again. So you're going to have to take all this into account with your efficiency rating. No matter how good you are, you're never going to be 100% efficient. So let's say we're going to be 70% efficient, which I believe I roughly am at the moment. I mean, when you start, you might be 40 or 50% efficient, which sounds a bit patronising, but it's probably about what I was when I first set up. So if I go actual hours, so this equals this divided by 100, well, I'm doing a percentage here, times that. So to figure out your hourly rate now, based on the actual hours that you're going to work in a year, which has gone from 2616 to 1831 based on 70% efficiency. The hourly rate will be this divided by this. £21 an hour. So let's say you're 50% efficient. Your hourly rate will go up to £30 an hour. And that is based on working 327 days a year, 8 hours a day, and you would have to charge £30 an hour in order to cover those costs and pay yourself a wage.